Hi, I'm Dr. Lou Walters at the Source Wellness Center. Across the country, there's been a number of cases of measles as well as mumps. So this video is focused on giving you additional tips to keep your kids healthy in addition to vaccines. So the first thing we want to look at is we want to make sure our barriers are good to keep the virus from getting in the first place. So the inside of our nose and our mouth, also known as the mucous membranes, is our first line of defense. And typically what happens in the wintertime is we drink a little bit less water and then we have the heaters going and we get these little cracks inside our nose, which is like opening a window and allowing the virus, this giant gaping hole, to get in so they can take over and infect our cells. So we want to make sure that our kids are drinking adequate amounts of water each day. We want to make sure that we're giving them water and not juice. All the sugar in juice is going to actually create an environment that makes it easier for viruses to go. Same with soda and other things. Herbal tea is fine, but really water is best. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure they're getting plenty of rest and sleep, that their systems aren't getting run down. And then when they go out, we want to make sure that they're bundled up. We want to make sure that the cold stress isn't weakening them and making them more susceptible to getting an infection. The next thing we want to look at is we want to make sure that the environment in the body, the conditions in the body, or as we call it in naturopathic medicine, the terrain, is not favorable to a virus to be able to grow. We don't want to put it out an all-you-can-eat buffet and make it super inviting for a virus to take over. So foods to avoid or minimize, sugars is the number one thing. We want to make sure that we're not giving our kids lots of sugar. We also want to keep in mind that starch, whether it be in potatoes or cereal, rice, pasta, oatmeal, all those things are starch, which is long chains of sugar, so that when they digest it, it breaks down into sugar molecules. So we want to make sure that we're not giving them table sugar and things with that, but we also want to overload them on starches and grains and those sort of things. We also want to make sure we're not giving them bad fats, so too many fried foods, partially hydrogenated oils, trans fats, things like margarine, Crisco. Those are going to, again, inhibit immune function just like the sugar does, as well as create a favorable terrain for viruses to take over. We also want to make sure that they are not getting too much processed foods, that in general, and that's usually going to have the bad fats and the sugars and other things we don't want in there, whether it be chemicals or dyes. Then the next question is, well, what do we feed them and make sure we're getting? What are the nutrients that they can get and foods they can have that's going to help protect them and help their immune system out? Most people are familiar with vitamin C, that's good for the immune system, and which it is. And their go-to is usually orange juice. And orange juice is real high in sugar. Now, even though it's natural sugar, it's still sugar, and we don't want to be giving kids lots of sugar, which is then going to kind of negate the whole point of the vitamin C in the first place. Oranges are just fine. They have a fantastic marketing team, so we all know that oranges have vitamin C in it. So giving a child oranges as much as what they can eat is just fine. But there are foods that are better sources of vitamin C than oranges. Broccoli being one of them. Peppers have more vitamin C than oranges, as do acai berries, rose hips, which you can make a tea out of. All of that is a better source of vitamin C than oranges. Another nutrient that is terrific for the immune system is vitamin A, especially when we're talking about measles. So the absolute best source from food of vitamin A would be liver. But most kids that I've run into don't really care for liver. They're not asking their parents for liver each night, and it's real tough to get them to eat that. If you can, great. If not, other things would be things like cod liver oil or wild caught fish is going to have some vitamin A in it. Vegetables, especially orange, green, and yellow things, carrots, sweet potatoes, winter squash, all those have great amounts of vitamin A in it. Kale, spinach, broccoli again, cantaloupe, those are going to be good sources of vitamin A as well. Another nutrient to make sure they're getting is zinc. So whether it be from a supplement or from pumpkin seeds or from meat, those are going to be good sources of zinc. I would recommend with the pumpkin seeds, rather than give them to them whole, because seeds are designed to pass through our gastrointestinal tract and not get broken down, to grind them up either with a spice grinder or a coffee grinder. Make sure you clean the coffee grinder first. You don't want to hype your kids up on caffeine beforehand, but grind those seeds up and then just mix it in with what they're eating. Vitamin D has a big impact on our immune system. In nature, our best source of vitamin D is getting it with sunlight on our skin. but in the winter months, especially up in the North Country like Montana where I am, the angle of the sun is not such that we're going to be getting enough vitamin D from sunlight hitting our skin. Plus, because it's so cold, we don't really expose a lot of skin up here, so I would recommend giving the kids a supplement. In addition to those things, you want to make sure just basically fruits, vegetables, healthy meats, whole grains if you're going to give them, but not too much. Just a good diet. Again, plenty of water, plenty of rest. Those are great things to help keep your kids healthy, and if they do get sick, so that they're not overwhelmed by the infection. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find it helpful. If you want other videos like this one, you can click below on the subscribe button. Again, I am Dr. Lou Walters at the Source Wellness Center, where I treat the source of people's problems, not just the symptoms.